Today, we're going to dive into the science of mastery and figure out how to unlock that hidden potential that, believe it or not, is inside all of us.
All right, let's kick things off with a huge question, one that really shapes how we think about success. Are great performers just born that way, or is there another way to get to the top? You know, for the longest time, we've all been told the same story. You've either got it or you don't. But what if that whole idea is just a myth? What if that's the very thing that's been holding you back?
So let's get right into it and just shatter one of the biggest misconceptions about success. And hey, this isn't just a feel-good idea. It's actually backed by some seriously interesting research. So here's the thing. When researchers actually looked at exceptional adults, they found something kind of surprising. Most of them weren't child prodigies. A lot of them started out as pretty average kids. What really set them apart wasn't some kind of magic talent, but this incredible drive to just learn and get better.
And that right there brings us to the first big piece of the puzzle, building your character. And I'm not talking about your personality. That's different. We're talking about something you can actually work on and develop.
And if you want to see just how big a deal this is, get this. There was this massive study that followed 11,000 kindergartners for 30 years. They wanted to see what really, truly predicted their success later in life. And the results? They were wild.
So here's the takeaway, and it's totally counterintuitive. The adults who ended up earning way more money weren't the ones who were just good at reading and math as kids. Nope. They were the ones who developed character skills. Being determined, disciplined, and working well with others. Those so-called soft skills turned out to be the biggest predictor of success.
Okay, so what do we even mean by character? It's not about who you are deep down. It's about how you choose to act. It's that ability to fight your gut reaction, like fear or just giving up, and instead do what you know is right for your long-term goals. And the best part? It's like a muscle. You can build.
So how in the world do you build it? Well, it sounds completely backward, but the best way is to embrace making mistakes. I know, we're all taught that mistakes are bad, but they're really just the building blocks. It's all about getting comfortable with that feeling of being a total beginner again.
Now, building that character means you need a steady stream of new information to learn from. Which brings us to our next big idea, becoming a human sponge. And for this, we're going to take a lesson from one of nature's most incredible survivors.
I want you to picture a sea sponge for a second. These things can live for over 2,000 years. How? Well, they're masters at three things. They soak up everything around them, they filter out only what they need, and then they adapt. And we can totally steal that playbook for our own learning.
So we can break that down into a super simple three-step process. First, you just absorb, soak up information from every experience, the good and the bad. Then, you filter. You figure out what's actually useful and what's just noise. And finally, you adapt your game plan based on what you just learned.
You want a real-world example of this? Look no further than Melody Hobson. She came from a really tough background, but she ended up becoming the co-CEO of a huge investment firm and one of Time's 100 most influential people. Her secret? She lived this sponge method. She was always asking questions, carefully filtering opportunities, and actually acting on tough feedback.
Okay, so you're building character, you're being a sponge, but how do you keep going without totally burning out? Well, the answer is kind of surprising. It's a force that works way better than just grinding away for hours on end.
It's funny, research actually shows that perfectionists often do worse than other people. And why is that? Well, it's because they're so scared of messing up that they never leave their comfort zone. If you really want to grow, you got to shift your focus from being perfect to just making progress, one small step at a time. And the way you shift that focus is through this really cool technique called deliberate play. Think of it as the sweet spot right between serious, structured practice and just having fun. It's where getting better actually starts to feel really, really good. I mean, check out the story of Evelyn Glennie. She's a profoundly deaf solo percussionist who's won 3 Grammys. What was her secret? It wasn't about grinding it out for miserable hours. She found what's called harmonious passion by making her practice feel like play. She'd switch up her instruments, play pieces backward just for a challenge, and take breaks. It just goes to show you, the quality of your practice time matters so much more than the quantity.
All right, but what about when you hit that wall? You know the feeling. You're doing all the right things, but your progress just stops. You feel completely stuck.
Well, here's the secret that nobody tells you. Right before a big breakthrough, your performance often takes a little dip. Yeah, you actually get a little worse. That's because trying a new technique or a new strategy always feels awkward at first. That dip isn't a sign you're failing. It's a sign you're right on the edge of leveling up.
It's kind of like in sports, right? Imagine a basketball team's star player gets injured. At first, the team struggles. But what happens? They're forced to try new plays, other players have to step up, they develop new strengths. So when that star player finally comes back, the whole team is actually stronger than it was before. Sometimes a setback is exactly what you need.
So, what does this all boil down to? We can actually put all of this together into a simple but really powerful formula for unlocking your own potential. It's a roadmap you can start using, like, today.
Okay, here it is. 3 simple steps. First, you build your character so you're not afraid to fail and push through tough spots. Second, you become that human sponge, always absorbing, filtering, and adapting. And third, you bring in the power of deliberate play to keep yourself motivated and make learning fun.
Look, this isn't some magic trick to become a genius overnight. It's really about a fundamental shift in how you see yourself. Excellence isn't some gift you're just born with. It's a potential that is already inside you, just waiting for you to cultivate it. So the real question is, what potential is waiting inside you?